Welcome back to the Inner Compass. I'm your host, Sasha, and I want to start today with a question that I genuinely want you to sit with. When was the last time someone truly saw you? Not the version of you that you prepared for the room, not the composed one, not the one who says, I'm fine with a smile that does not quite reach your eyes. The real one, the one who's sometimes uncertain, sometimes afraid, sometimes carrying something so heavy that you doesn't have words for it yet. The one who has dreams you haven't told anyone about, wounds you haven't shown anyone, a depth of you that most people, even the people who you love, have never been invited to see. When was the last time that version of you was in the room? For most of us, it has been a very long time. Do you agree with me? Because being truly seen, letting someone past the performance, past the management, past the carefully constructed version we show the world is one of the most terrifying and most healing things a human being can do. Today, we are going to talk about why and how and what becomes possible when you finally let yourself be known. Let me describe something, and I want you to be honest with yourself about how much of this you recognize. You are in a room full of people care about you, friends, maybe family, partner, and yet you feel unseen. Not because they are cruel, not because they don't love you, but because the version of you that is present in that room is not the whole of you. You have edited yourself, smoothen the difficult paths, kept the tender, uncertain, complicated parts somewhere private where no one can reach them. And you sit there surrounded by love and feel somewhere underneath it all profoundly alone. That loneliness, the loneliness of being with people but not truly known by them, is one of the most particular and painful kinds of loneliness there is. Because it carries a second layer of guilt. You look around at the people who you love and think, I have no one to feel a move. And yet, you can not be loved in the places you hide. The version of you that is still hiding has never been loved, not fully. And somewhere quietly it is waiting, waiting to be seen, waiting to be safe enough to come forward, waiting for someone to look closely enough and stay. So, why do we hide? Not because we are shallow, Not because we don't want connection, but because somewhere at some point being seen did not feel safe. Maybe you shared something real and it was met with judgment or dismissal or a silence that felt like rejection. And something in you made a decision. It is safer to manage how I appear than to risk what happens when I don't. So you choose to become very, very good at it, very good at presenting the right version, amazing at knowing what each room needs from you and exactly delivering that. Very good at being everything to everyone except honest about who you actually are. And the cost of that is enormous because the energy required to manage your image, to monitor how you are being perceived, to edit before you speak, to perform availability and composure and certainty is energy that is not available for actually living. And there is a deeper cost too. When you are never fully seen, you can never be fully loved. Think about it. The love that reaches you only reaches the surface. And somewhere underneath, the real, complicated, tender, uncertain, extraordinary version of you goes unloved. Not because it is unlovable, but because it has never been put. The hiding is not protecting you, it is the very thing that is keeping you lonely. What is keeping you hidden? Let me bridge some of the fears that we hold. Fear of judgment, is it? If this is the fear of judgment that keeps you hidden, I want to offer you something honest. The people who matter the most, the one who love is worth having, are not looking for a version of what you have been that never struggles. They are looking for a version of you that is real. Judgment most often comes from people who are themselves hiding. And the moment you stop hiding, you often find that the judgment you feared was smaller than the connection you were blocking. Is it the fear of rejection? If that is what is stopping you from being seen, I want to acknowledge how real that fear is. Because it is rooted in real experience. You have probably been rejected before in a moment of vulnerability, and something in you made a decision that it was safer to stop trying. What I want to offer you today is this: the rejection you experienced told you something about that specific relationship in that specific moment. It did not tell you something about whether you're worth knowing, those are not the same thing. And if you are afraid of being a burden, of taking too much space, of asking for too much, of overwhelming the people who care about you, I want to say this very directly. You have spent years making yourself smaller so that others would not have to carry you. And the cost of that is that no one has ever really known what you are carrying. You are allowed to take up that space. You are allowed to have weight. That is not a burden. That is being human. And the people who truly love you want to know what it actually costs you to be you. If you're afraid that being seen will make you look weak, I want to challenge the definition you're using. There is nothing weak about letting someone know the truth of who you are. It is, in fact, one of the most demanding things a person can do. Weakness is hiding because you're afraid. Strength is being afraid and being real anyway. What you are calling weakness is actually courage. And it is exactly the kind of courage that creates the deepest and most lasting connections. Trust me when I say this. You have to become what you really are. You don't have to hide behind any of the fears. If you do not know who to trust with the real version of you, that is a wise place to start. Not everyone deserves the unedited version of you. The practice of being seen begins with discernment. You do not owe your full self to everyone, but there is probably at least one person in your life who has already shown you over time that they are your safe place. Start there. One person, one true thing. See what do they do with it. If you feel like you do not know who you are anymore, like the real version of you has been hidden for so long you have lost track of it, then today's episode is a beginning, not a conclusion. You do not need to know who you are in order to start becoming visible. Practice 4, seeing yourself first, is exactly for you. Stay tuned and just diving into it. Because before someone else can know you, you need to begin the process of knowing yourself again. And this episode is the gentlest possible invitation to start. Here is what I want to say to the version of you that has been hiding. You have been treating vulnerability as a risk to manage, as something dangerous, as something that requires protection and careful rationing, given only to people who have already proved themselves entirely trustworthy. But here is a truth I want you to know: vulnerability is not the risk. The real risk is a life spent being known only on the surface. Because here is what happens when you are never truly seen: you receive love, but it does not reach you because it is directed at the performance, not the person. And somewhere underneath, the real you knows that love is for the mask and wonders quietly and painfully what would happen if people saw what was underneath it. I'm sure most of us resonate with this thing, that wondering, that painful, persistent wondering is what being truly seen finally resolves. When someone sees you, the real, unedited, complicated, tender you, and stays, something shifts at a level that cannot be reached by any other means. You stop wondering whether you are lovable because you have evidence, real evidence, the kind that bypasses the thinking mind and lands somewhere much deeper. And I want to say something about what being truly seen requires because it is important. It requires you to show up first. You cannot be seen if you do not allow it. You cannot receive that love if you are managing from behind glass. The risk is real, the fear is real. And let me tell you, it is still worth it. Being seen is not the risk, it is the doorway. And on the other side of it, it is the kind of connection and the kind of love that actually reaches the parts of you that have been waiting the longest. So, how do you begin when the habit of hiding is so deeply ingrained that you barely notice you're doing it? You have to begin small. You begin with one true thing. You begin in the safest place you can find. I am going to offer some four practices, or I would say four gentle, honest ways to begin letting yourself be known. Not at all once, not dramatically, just a little more than yesterday. You don't have to try all of them together, but slowly, I'm sure they are going to help, and there is some starting point that you need. So the first one, I have named it as start with one true thing. This becomes the entry point. You do not have to open every door at once. You do not have to share everything with everyone. You just have to begin. In your next significant conversation, choose one true thing, one thing that is actually real for you right now, not the edited version, not the I am fine version, something that is actually happening inside you. It does not have to be traumatic. It does not have to be your deepest secret. It just has to be true. Actually, I have been finding things really hard lately. I have been thinking about something I haven't known how to say. I am not sure what I'm doing, and that's more frightening than I'm letting on. These are few things that you can start with. Notice what the other person does with that one true thing. Their response will tell you something important about whether this is a relationship where more of you is safe. One true thing, not all of it, not everything at once, just one true thing offered with trembling hands. That is where visibility begins. And it takes less courage than you think. The next one, the hardest habit to break. So we need to become real. And for this, I have named my second practice as stop editing in real time. Most of us are editing ourselves before we have even finished thinking. We monitor, calibrate, adjust in real time to make sure what comes out is acceptable, unlikely to create discomfort. The practice is to notice the editing as it happens and occasionally, consciously, choose not to do it. Not in every conversation, not with everyone, but in one conversation with one person you trust. In one moment where you feel the urge to make yourself smaller, don't do it. Say the thing you were going to soften. Express the feeling you were about to qualify. Ask the question you were about to swallow. This is not about being unfiltered or reckless. It is about reclaiming the right to take up your small space, make it full in a conversation without performing for approval. You have to notice the edit, that small interval moment where you almost said something real and then just pulled back. Just notice for the first time. Then, when you are ready, try leaving it unsaid one fewer time than usual. I'm sure this is a habit which you have to begin with a practice. I know this is a little hard, but when you start, the results will make you wonder what you truly are. The next one I have named it as practice receiving, not just giving. This is one of the overlooked direction, I believe. Being seen is not only about what you reveal, it is also about how you receive it when someone looks closely at you and reflects something true back. Most people who struggle to be seen also struggle to receive care, compliments, or genuine attention because it triggers the same vulnerability as being seen does. The practice, the next time someone offers you something real, a compliment, a moment of genuine care, a question that goes beneath the surface, stay with it. Don't deflect, don't minimize, don't immediately redirect to them. Simply receive it. Let it land. Say thank you without the disclaimer. Receiving is an act of courage that most of us have never been taught. It is also the act that confirms at a felt level that you are worth giving to. And that confirmation, real and lived, is something no amount of self talk can fully replace. So, the next time someone sees something good in you, let them. Don't shrink. Don't redirect. Don't immediately give it back. Just say thank you and notice what it feels like to be held. And the last practice, I have named it specifically see yourself first, one of the deepest practice that you will experience. Here is the thing most people miss in the conversation about being seen. Before someone else can truly see you, you need to be willing to see yourself. Not without judgment, not with the critical internal voice that catalogues every flaw and failure, but with the same quality of attention and compassion you would offer someone you deeply love. Look at yourself, all of yourself, the parts you are proud of and the parts of whom you are ashamed, the healed parts and the still healing parts, the tender, uncertain, complicated, beautiful whole of you. And practice saying, even if you don't fully believe it yet, I see you and I am not going anywhere, because the quality of witness you bring to yourself is the template for the witness you allow from others. When you stop hiding from yourself, you naturally become more able to stop hiding from the people who you love. You cannot receive being seen by others if you cannot bear to see yourself. The most healing act may not be finding someone to know you. It may be learning to know yourself with the same patience and love you have been waiting for someone else to offer. This is something deep that you all one needs to reflect upon, don't you? So, before I move forward and let you go, I want to speak to the part of you that is still hiding, the part that has been in the shadows for so long it has started to feel at home there. The part that has been watching other people be known beloved, and has wondered quietly whether it would ever be its turn. It's your turn now. Not because you have finally earned it, not because you have healed enough or fixed enough or become a better enough version of yourself, but because you were always worthy of being seen. The hiding was never about your worth. It was about your wound, and wounds can heal. The path back to being known begins with a moment of honesty. One conversation where you say something true instead of something safe. One relationship where you let the performance drop, even briefly, and see what the other person does with that space. You may be surprised. The people who are right for you will not run from your realness. They will run towards it. You are worth knowing. All of you, even especially the parts you have kept hidden the longest. So, I believe these small practices will help you to come out and begin to truly being seen. With this, we end this episode here. Together we heal, together we grow, together we rise. One last thing. Next week, we arrive somewhere I have been building toward since the first episode of the series. We come home. Episode 10 is called Coming Home to Yourself. After all the releasing, the pattern we noticed, the boundaries that we have built, the moment of finally being seen, what does it feel like to arrive? To be finally and fully at home in your own life, in your own skin, in your own story. That is where we go next week. And it is the episode I have been most looking forward to recording for you all, with you all. So I will see you there. So at the end, I would just say, you cannot be loved in the places you hide. The version of you that is still in the shadows has never been fully loved. Not just because it is unlovable, but because it has been. Never got a chance to come out. So let's practice to be seen and accept what people gives us with that place. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good time. All the best.